Welcome to episode 4 of Quantum Talks Healing Through Conversations with your girls, Vanessa at My Celestial Life
and Christine at Solely Rooted.
We hope that you and your loved ones are well. Today's topic is We Are Reflections and the importance of building conscious relationships.
We come to you with an open heart. May this conversation inspire and provide you with all that you need at this time. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
Hey, boo, what's up?
I'm good. I'm here. How are you?
I'm chilling. So today, conscious relationships. Real quick, if you don't mind, Vanessa, I just want to get into why this out of the whole list that we have of topics to talk about. This one really stuck out to me because recently, maybe like 2 weeks ago, I was having a conversation with a very good friend of mine, and she was just, I was holding space for her when she was talking about a situation she was going through with some relationships. And no, it was not a romantic relationship, it was a platonic one, because and she was just expressing some things to me, and they resonated with me heavy. And I just felt like, okay, so we are both going through similar feelings, similar thought process, similar situations and lessons and cycles when it comes to the people in our life and the people we've been around, the people that we're no longer around but still are healing from, etc. And it just led me to like hit you up and be like, I think this is something that we need to talk about, because I feel like and you as well, we talk, we express, and it's three of us. So if it's three of us, I'm pretty sure there's 10 of us that are going through this whole thing when it comes to relationships. Both platonic. To me, when I say relationships, I mean romantic, platonic, family, business, because a relationship is someone who you are in relation with. Like you're sharing some type of energy exchange, time, whatever it is. And society teaches us that we hear the word relationships and it's automatically to boo, who you boo loving with, who you dating, and that word is so much bigger than just in the romantic sense. So, and another thing was, I'm reading this book called Women Who Run with Wolves. Yo, you would think I'm sponsored because the way I hype this book up, it's life changing. Anyway, after that conversation I had with my friend, I began to read the passage that I was up to. And what was it about? Relationships, and having relationships that feed us and nurture us and give us warmth, how imperative it is for us to thrive. And she's talking about the creative life. But again, like we said in episode 1, we are creators. So the creative life is life in general, because no matter what we do, whether we're artists, whether we're moms, whether we're students, whether we're just kids or teenagers, we're still creating something. We're creating this life that we're living. So all in all, like having the right people around us and the right cultivating the right friendships, even cultivating the right relationships when it comes to family is so important to our souls, to our lives, to our ability to feel confident, to feel love, to thrive in this world. They say it take a village. And in that village, we need the ones that, see us for who we are. Unfortunately, in this society, a lot of that has been misconstrued. A lot of that idea and a lot of what people think a real friendship is, or what people think they need to tolerate from certain family members and love relationships, is so messed up. I was about to curse, but you know what? If there's kids listening, I want to keep it, but a lot of it is messed up and it's rooted not in love, it's rooted in ego. It's rooted in pain. It's rooted in tainted a tainted view of what love can look like and should be like that. And I say love because in order, like, the basis of any relationship should be rooted in love. But you got to know what real love is in order to be able to do that. And to know what real love is, you got to heal. And for you to heal, you got to become aware and conscious. So there's many levels to this, but again, a lot of our traumas and a lot of the things we've been through, a lot of it happens from our experiences within our childhood relationships, our relationships with our parents, our relationships with the kids at school, like if you got bullied, even the relationship with your teachers. How many times we hear people say, "Oh, I had a teacher told me that I was going to be nothing in life." Like everything, a lot of our existence, a lot of what we learn, a lot of what we go through is centered in our relationships. Look at spirituality, that's centered in the relationship not only with self, but with the Most High, with Mama Gaia. So, relationship is a big word, and I feel like it's just one of the most important things in this life that will help you get through this life and learn the biggest lessons. When you think about relationships and when you think about what comes to you first.
I just remembered that I did a whole live the other day on IG about relationships and the current state of relationships. And 2020 taught us a lot about relationships. It taught us a lot about ourselves within these relationships. And the current state right now is that so many people are seeing people for who they are. And this is what we have to make peace with. We're seeing people for who they are. We're not making things up anymore. We're seeing it. It's there. It's clear. And we have a choice to make whether we want to stay in it or whether we want to leave or end it. So, I would see all over Facebook that so many relationships were ending from that 2020 mark, and I saw what it was and I saw why it was happening, because we were forced to go internally. We were forced to examine with a magnifying glass, to pinpoint exactly what it was that's creating chaos and confusion and all these things in our lives. And it forced us to look at our relationships. Ultimately, every relationship that we're in, it's a reflection of us. So if there's something you don't like about somebody, guess what? Somewhere inside of you, it exists. So if you're looking at your husband or your wife or, your friendships and something with these people that you can't stand, you're going to have to look at that mirror a little bit closer to see where it is within you and heal that part of yourself. And you know what? We're in a relationship with everything, everything. We have our relationship with food. We have our relationship, of course, with our children, our family, our friends, lovers, co-workers, and things like that. We have relationships are the very backbone and foundation of humanity. Because without relationships, even with ourselves, then what would we know? What would we, have to look forward to? What would we be doing on earth, like, if we didn't have relationships? So, in the last 3 years alone, we have been forced to examine very deeply, very closely relationships and to basically make peace and make peace with the ones that are not working and thrive and continue in the ones that are working. So it's like, so many of us talk about building tribe. We want our tribe. We are desiring our tribe. Our heart is yearning for our tribe because we want to be free and we want to be seen. We want to be heard without a fight. you know? And when we enter these relationships, there's a language barrier because I don't know how to love you unless you show me or you tell me how to love you. And then how are you going to know that if you don't love yourself? So there's a language barrier because we don't understand what it is that makes you you, right? So we have to spend time to kind of cultivate that and not rushing into things, not rushing into relationships. And all of us have had, and some of us are still in it, where we repeat these cycles of we're feeling the tinglies, we're feeling like, oh, this person's a vibe, like, oh, and we jump on it like immediately, like, oh yeah, I want to attach to this person immediately. And when you get to know that person, is like, some time, we needed to spend some time here to understand certain things. Maybe we shouldn't have, moved so fast to allow this person into our space. Now this person's energy is a part of our energy. So we have some work to do now, and these things aren't bad. They're not bad. It just gives us the work that we need to kind of look at ourselves, to, examine our own relationships with ourselves. And it's not bad, but it's a lot of work. And, those married couples, they always say, the ones that have been together for like 40, 50 years, they're like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and then like we said, even on the last episode, the greatest relationship you will ever have is the one with self. That's the first relationship that you will ever have, and your relationship with source. So, and we know how much work that is, having to look at ourselves and develop that relationship of what we know ourselves to be. And we're not going to know who we are until we kind of separate from others. We kind of isolate and develop that relationship. And then we can rejoin and build community and build tribe. You need to spend some time with yourself. You need to isolate, and you need to discover who you are and who you're bringing to a situation, because your energy will mix with other people's energy. And you being unaware of what you're bringing into a space, it's going to cause chaos and confusion, right? And many, many conflicts. Yeah. So there's a lot to be discussed about relationships. And how you feeling? Girl? I see you over there laughing.
I'm fine. You see me going like this, right? That's when you know there's a lot on my mind. So when it comes to having to isolate and really getting to know yourself, first of all, I wasn't taught that growing up. I don't know what that was. Even though when I look back, I had to learn how to, I'm an only child. Well, I was back then. And I had to learn how to make fun and keep myself active, because all my cousins were older. None of them lived that close. And the majority of the time, it was just me, my grandmother, my aunt and her husband. And so to play with, it was me. So I had to learn that as a kid, how to, entertain myself and how to. So I've noticed that looking back, that I've always kind of been on that journey of having to know how to do things on my own. But growing up, there should be a little bit more of a village thing going on there. But society, I wasn't raised by my parents. I didn't have anybody my age, really. My cousins would come, but then they would go because they would be with their moms. And the way things are, the conditioning and the state of society, a lot of us don't grow up. You ever heard those stories? I'm jumping right now, but it all comes together. You ever heard those stories where our parents, well, my family, for once, when my dad was growing up, my aunt, their cousins, they all lived on the same block, the same building. There was that community, like, Tio, this one lived on the first floor, Tia lived on the fifth floor. Theo lived across the street. Auntie this lived down the block. Like it was a whole community. It was literally a village. They'd be like, yo, I used to be outside, and then Carmen for the third floor used to catch us, and she used to curse us out and then take us to mommy, and mommy would, you don't see that no more. So I feel like a lot of our generation, we kind of, that was lost. So a lot of us, when it came to knowing the importance of relationships and knowing the importance of having that strong family foundation, we don't know what that was, but our soul longs for it because that's something that's innate and that's like an instinctual thing. So what happens? We grow up looking for that in every outside of us. You feel me? And so I was gonna say that in my 20s, my entire identity was surrounded. And first in my teens, it was in the church. It was all in the church. I knew who I was when it came to the church. I was in the choir. I was in the step thing. I was this, that, that. I was a Christian. I knew it was identified with religion and the church. And then in my 20s, when I wasn't going to church anymore, my entire identity was surrounded in the experiences, the relationships, the non-romantic relationships. Let me not, I was gonna say, if you want to call them romantic, but let me not be petty. In my intimate and romantic relationships and my friendships. That was my entire identity. Oh, and I was gay. So that's all I knew. Oh, and I worked. I had my own apartment. So I was a waitress, I was gay, and I had friends. This is what we did. And then whoever my girl was at the time. So, but if you sat there and asked me, like, I remember people would be like, so what do you like to do? And unfortunately, that I used to sit there and be like, I don't know, smoke, read here and there when I'm on my way to work, smoke. Like, it was like, I think back and I'm like, I really did not know who I was. I didn't know, like I had ideas and dreams of who I knew I wanted to be. I wrote poetry. I was like, I like to write poems. I like to smoke. My identity was not, it was just so, like I knew there was something more deep down, but with the way I was living, it was just, it wasn't founded in my ultimate truth, is because I didn't know what my ultimate truth was. So fast forward to when I was 27, I gave myself an ultimatum. I was like, listen, the way you're living, you're not living. You're dead. You're dead inside. You're literally just existing. So either do what you gotta do. You got two options. Like remove yourself, and I don't want to say anything triggering, but remove yourself or get it together. Mm-hmm. Which one you're gonna do? So I decided to get it together. And when I started to read more things, I read The Four Agreements. I read books done by Don Miguel Ruiz. I hope I'm saying that right. And I read another book, The Celestine Prophecy. I was just reading books and I was researching. And when I started to learn how important cultivating a relationship with yourself and loving yourself and learning how to detach from things that you've been taught, when I started to learn the importance of that, man, I never looked back. So I had to, but it's not easy because you have to really, like you said, isolate yourself from this story in which you once identified with. Not saying that you can't go back and pick up the pieces, but how are you really gonna know if that's something you really need to do for you and your growth and your goals and your dreams if you don't separate? Having to separate completely is so important. Now, I'm not saying everybody's different. Maybe you do gotta go sit on a mountain for a couple of years by yourself. And, I'm talking metaphorically, but for everybody it's different. For me, I take in the environment and the energies that are around me. Like if you're in my life, I'm the type of person, you come to mind, I'm gonna feel something and I'm gonna hit you up. Why? Because my energy, you are now intertwined with my energy. I am intertwined with yours. That goes for platonic, that goes for family, that goes for romantic. If you're in my life and I love you and I care for you, our energy is that etheric rope. We are connected. And what I had to do, I had to cut the ropes to everything that I was connected and identified with that wasn't serving me or helping me grow at the time. Did I go about it the right way? I mean, I went about it the way I knew how. Did I hurt people along the way? Absolutely. And I never ever meant to. I never wanted to hurt anybody, but I was so desperate and hungry for me that I was willing to do anything to get back to me, to get back to a healthy Christine, to even know who the hell Christine was in the first place. And a lot of people didn't understand it. I still didn't fully understand it. But in the same junction, it's like, yo, I had to do what I had to do. And again, was I a little bit, maybe I was too rigid, but I've talked about that in the last episode too, about being so scared of not doing it at all or going back to my depression. I mean, the depression and the anxiety that, and being so far from myself that I was probably a bit abrasive. I was probably a bit of like, damn, you just disappeared. Yo, I had to be a better me for you. Did some people fall away? Yeah, they did. They no hard feelings. I love every single person that I grew up with. And even if it was an ugly ass fallout, I still look back and like, yo, it ended the way it did, but that was my girl. Yo, I miss her. I hope she's doing good. Probably can't stand me right now, but it's all right though. Loving, like, you feel me? You send them healing and things like that. Anyway, so taking that time to really discover who you are. It talks about that in the book too. The Women Who Run with Wolves, she calls it returning home to self. When we feel ourselves depleted, when we feel like our river, meaning us, is running dry, when it's polluted, when there are things or people in our environment, or just, living the daily hustle and bustle where there's no time for doing the things you love, like meditating, or if you paint, if you're a painter but you have no time to paint, you start to die inside. So she called it like, if you have to isolate, if you have to return home, having the people around you that understand that and that are not gonna, number one, take it personal, or number two, judge you for it, or number three, interrupt that process of like throwing a spike to give you a flat tire so you don't go home. That right there is so important, because like real love, even if you feel a little way, like, damn, babe, I'm gonna miss you. Where you going? All right, fine. Go home. I'll be here, whatever. But, playful banter, but like really showing that support. Like, damn, you feeling like that? Yo, do what you gotta do. I'm not going nowhere. I'm here. Call me when you're ready. Even with us, Vanessa, like when one of us don't feel like being on the phone, we'd be like, yo, but where's she at though? And then we tap in though, because we're connected on that level. We tap in and be like, ooh, she's going through something. She'll answer me tomorrow. No biggie. You feel me? So it's like cultivating, and we have the same thing with Patrice. Because Patrice, we'll have a conversation with Patrice, and then, yo, she has a lot of things on her plate. We'll hear from her next week. But you know what? Every time we hear from her, it's like, Patrice, I knew you was a little busy. How you doing, boo? Like, it's no hard feelings, no taking it personal, like, oh, she acting funny, or she's ignoring me, or is none of that. Have we all been there? Absolutely, because that's what we conditioned. We've been conditioned to possess. the people in our lives. We've been conditioned to have people in our lives fill these places and play these roles that cater to our ego and to our hurt as in a child, because our parents didn't fulfill that role, or our aunt and uncle or the teacher or whatever didn't give you what ultimately you should be giving yourself. You look for it in other people, and when they fall short, is like, oh well, that person ain't shit because they're not making me happy, or they're not giving me or fulfilling my idea of what I think love and a friendship should look like. And it's like, are you fulfilling that idea for yourself? Just, I'm not trying to be, I'm just asking, because I had to ask myself. I had to look in the mirror and be like, yo, you got all these expectations and you looking for this grand old love. Do you love yourself, boo? These 3-course meals you cooking for these shorties out here, these, the way you running people baths and you giving massages. And when's the last time you ran a bath for yourself? When's the last time you cooked for yourself? When's the last time you went out and bought something you really liked for you, but you ready to do it for everybody else? There's nothing wrong with that. But when you pour in from a cup que no tiene nada, a cup that's empty, what's up? You're going to keep cultivating people. You're going to keep manifesting people who suck you dry. Every relationship I've been in, I'm single now, so clearly, they didn't work out, but they were a reflection of the relationship or the lack thereof that I had with myself. They showed me how I treated me. In the extent, they taught me a lot. They're all lessons. They're all here to teach you something. And they were reflections. I want someone who reads me poetry. I want someone who does this and who does that. But if you're not doing it for yourself, you can't expect for you to really manifest that. Now, girl, I could go on for days. There are times when you're healing and you're on this journey and you can manifest somebody who helps you along the way and who builds you up. But you gotta set the foundation first. You gotta pour the cement and put the pillars first. And like you were talking about 2020 was a 4-year, that's foundation. So it was teaching us what's in our foundation that gotta go and what we need to pour in. And then 2021 was a 5-year change. Now you know what needed to go, you needed what you need to pour in, now you need to make the changes. And then 6 years, 6 is the number of relationships, it's the number of victory, accomplishment, moving forward, things like that. So after you made the change, now it's time to step up and magnetize what's for you. And 6, everybody thought they were going to meet the love of their life this year, which you might have. Don't get me wrong. The year ain't over yet. It don't end till March. But you still might. But the ultimate relationship, though, plot twist, was the one that you had with yourself and the one you had with spirit.
That is fun. Oh my goodness. Yes. So many times we can lose ourselves in these relationships. We're losing ourselves, and then now we're expecting the other to do the things that we're not doing for ourselves. And this is what it is. This is why there's confusion. This is why we're misinterpreting things. We have such high expectations because we're not doing it for ourselves. And I tell you, the relationship that I enter now with anyone, it's like, listen, it's going to be from such a solid foundation with myself. I will not tolerate anything less than what I deserve, So, but guess what? Plot twist, I'm doing it for myself now. So anything that comes into my life, it's going to have to mirror that. It's going to have to be the reflection of that. And if you're not doing that for yourself, then baby, listen, there's going to be an imbalance. You're going to expect me to do things that your mother did for you. You're going to expect me to do things that your sister was. Yes, I will be your sister, your mother, your friend, your teacher, your this and your that, your auntie, but it will show if you haven't healed those relationships, because there's going to be unhealthy wants and desires. You know what I'm saying? And then there's going to be healthy things where it's like, yo, I really see this person as my sister, my friend. my mother, my teacher, my everything. And I'm showing up just the same for her. So there's going to be such a transformation in the quality of relationships in this year alone, because of all the work that we've been having to do. You know, it's looking at ourselves, it's looking at the relationships that we currently have. And it is understanding and making priorities, right, of what we deserve in our life. And so many of us have had to heal that part, and even saying the words I deserve, because guess what? We were raised being selfless. We were raised saying, okay, we got to do this for that person. We got to make sure we're doing this for the family and stuff like that. I'm going to say this. I know this might sound weird or whatever. So I grew up in a family, Caribbean family, where, you know, if you're living in a household, you got to make sure everybody eat. Like if you're making food, you can't just make food for yourself. You got to make food for the whole house. And I get it, community, you know, it's love or whatever the case is. But let me tell you right now, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, because you know why? There's a lot of ungrateful people out there. Not only that, we don't eat the same. There's so many different layers of that or whatever. And it just brings me to the point of, it's like, yo, let me worry about myself. Like, can I worry about myself for a change here? Like, I'm giving you so much of this part of me. Let me make what I want to eat without you having, without me having to worry about what you eat. There's food there. There's food there. I'm the one to make sure you got things and you got things to eat. I'm the one to make sure you got enough groceries, you got enough things to drink. Don't look for me to make your food, because we are not desiring the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeding myself what my soul needs. So you got to look to do the same for yourself. I mean, it's a weird analogy. I mean, of course, I cook for my daughter. I know what she wants. You see what I'm saying? I know what she wants. Then, if there's anything that she doesn't like or whatever, or I wait for her to tell me, okay, this is what I give her the options. She's 3, so she's learning to have options and choices and things like that. She's learning to make her own choices. She's learning to learn what she wants and what she deserves. So, that's something different though. But if you've grown, you got 2 hands and you know how to make, you know how to boil an egg or whatever the case, make your own food. Because you know what I'm saying? When I cook from a place of love. I cook from a place of, I know it's gonna hit, because I'm putting so much energy into this food. It's gonna nourish your soul. But if you come with an energy that's rejecting my love, it's gonna be a problem. That's just me. That's just me. It's gonna be a problem. And that's for so many things. If I'm coming to you with the way that I know how to give love and show support and show up for you, and I know it's what you need, and I'm not getting the same, it's going to be a problem. Like if you know how to support, if you know how to love, if you know how to do these things for me the way that I know how to do it for you, then let's do that. But it's going to be a problem if I'm here wanting something from you that you don't know how to give. So it's going to cause conflict. How would you know what to give if you're not giving it to yourself first? You have to learn what you need and desire so that you can nourish your soul. Then you can nourish others. You can support others the way that they need to be supported. So that support system is so important. Especially for those of us who are creative. We're not living a life where it's what society tells us that we should do. We're going against the grain. We're living off of our artwork. We're living off of the service that we provide for others. And it's not conventional, and there's a lot of people who are living the opposite of that, will have an opinion, or even the people that we have in our lives who are doing things like similar to what we're doing, but they might have an opinion. They might, it's never going to look the same. It's never going to look like how we want it to look, because people are only capable of giving what they're capable of. what they have. They're not capable of giving any more than that. So the support system that some of us require is very specific, very, very specific. You want to touch on that, Chris? You want to touch on the support?
You know I do, honey. Girl, it's true. Straight, like, there's no other way around it. I've had to learn that so many times, like, how much your environment and the people in your environment affect, especially as a creative and a coming up. I just realized. I mean, I always knew I could write poetry. I knew I had some type of gift, but on the level in which I'm realizing now, it's kind of like, when you graduate high school and then you have, follow your dreams. You're such a great artist. That I didn't get that. After high school, I had to go straight to work. So I was trying to do college and work. I had to go straight to work. I didn't have time to figure out what my passion was. I had rent to pay. I got my own apartment at 19. So I didn't get that chance to really cultivate what my calling or what my, what I was capable of doing. It was straight out of high school, go to college full time, working full time as a waitress. Them hours are crazy and that work is crazy. So I didn't have that time to figure it out then when we're supposed to, quote unquote. So now, my late 20s and 30s, it's kind of like I'm fresh out of high school. I'm just now discovering who I am and what it is that I'm here to do. So in discovering that, I've also discovered like having people who really believe in you and really, even if it's not, because again, like you said, people can only do what they're really capable of. People can only meet you as deeply as they met themselves. But in the same junction, that doesn't mean, like, let's say someone doesn't understand what being an artist is, but they're trying their best to support you in any way that they can. That's to be looked at and that's to be cherished. But then you have other people who just straight judge and talk shit, or just be like, oh, well, she needs to do this and I don't understand. It's not for you to understand, baby. It's my path. You have yours, I have mine. I read a quote, IG, they be hitting with them quotes. It was saying something about people who love you shouldn't judge your steps, but work to make sure you keep your balance and you don't fall, something like that. And it's like, that looks different from everybody. You really got to pay attention, like you said earlier, to how people, their strengths, their weaknesses, their capabilities, their abilities, their love language. That's another book that people should get. The 5 love languages, or research it. This book right here, this is the Bible about love and relationships, All About Love by Bell Hooks. She breaks down, that's another episode. But that book also teaches like the foundation of how to really understand how people love in different ways and show support and show they show up, how they show up, period, in different ways. But you have to be able to, the same way you ready to learn and to grow and to get to know shorty or homeboy, homegirl, like, oh, yo, I'm trying. You should do that for the people who are already in your life, your friendships, your family, if they mean something to you, taking time out to really getting to know them. It's not easy, don't get me wrong, because especially now with social media and all this I don't like using the word toxic, this unhealthy shit that's out here, like cancel culture and fucking out here like oh, well, this tit for tat petty. Oh, well, she did this, so I'm about to get back. Or so quick to just like be out and done or judge, or like, you forget you human too. You forget that you probably got just as much toxicity as the next one. You forget about the fears and all this other stuff that you be feeling when nobody's looking. People are so quick to, and I don't like saying that I'm not perfect shit because no one is perfect, but I got my faults. I had to learn a lot of things. I had to unlearn a lot of things to relearn. But me at the center and my core, yo, when I love you, I love you. Sometimes to my detriment. Like when I love you, I love you. Do I always know how to show it in a way that you may like? No, but if you tell me, like, yo, I don't really like the unsolicited advice, but I like when you just available for me to vent. Or yo, sometimes you take a long time to text and I take it. Sometimes I feel like you don't want to talk to me. And yo, I'll tell you straight up, girl, nah. I responded in my mind. Yo, it's just communication. And I had to learn how to feel safe enough to communicate certain things too. And to people who are going to comprehend it too. You gotta be able to comprehend, but really having the space to not be scared. I used to be terrified of conflict because I don't like conflict. I don't like making people feel uncomfortable, and I don't like to feel uncomfortable. But sometimes you have to have those conversations and have those people around you where you could be like, yo, yesterday you made me feel away. I'm not trying to take it personal. I'm just asking for clarity. Like, did I do something? My bad. Are you okay? Are you going through something? Like, yo, yesterday what you said, that shit did not rub me the right way. But yo, with my friendships, we know what it is. Like my real close, yo, you was ODing yesterday. You could make a joke of it even. Like, I like that shit. That is so important. And is that people take things personal. You cannot take things so personal because everybody's fighting a battle within themselves that you don't know about. Everybody, yo, you think your mind is running a mile a minute? Imagine how the other person's, mind is running. They're based on what they've been through, based on what they've learned, based on your trauma. So having that compassion and that empathy and letting go, not letting go of your ego, putting the ego where it belongs, which is in the backseat. Your ego will put you onto game, like, yo, watch that. All right, thank you for telling me. Now I'm gonna need you to take a back seat and you need to call on your wisdom and your higher self. And if you can't, you call on healing. Like, yo, I'm feeling this about this person, but I kind of don't want to feel this way. I want to find out why. Is it even true? But that's when conscious and awareness comes in. You have to be conscious and aware of yourself, because then that'll really automatically open your eyes to being conscious and aware of others. And being conscious and aware of yourself is being real with yourself. You don't got to tell nobody else. If you know you do grimy shit, when your shadow is, triggered and you do grimy shit or you want to be petty, say it. Yo, I feel like being petty right now. Petty Betty. I feel like going in and wilding out, but you know what? I'm not trying to be that person no more. Because at the end of the day, what we do to others, we're doing to ourselves. Why? It's boomerang. You're going to throw it out. It may smack the person beside the head, but guess what? Guess who it's going to chop the head off? Yours. So when you're doing it to somebody else, you think you're hurting that person, especially if that person is solid and they peep game. Yeah, it may a little sting, but guess what? It's going to hit you harder, and it's going to hit you harder in ways you ain't never even expect. But anyway, don't get me, whatever. I wanted to read this quote real quick when it comes to being around people, especially as a creative. It says, being with real people who warm us, who endorse and exalt our creativity is essential to the flow of creative life. Otherwise, we freeze. Nurture is the chorus of voices both from within and without that notices the state of a woman's being. Woman or man, this is for both, because people forget about how much men need to be supported and uplifted in this community too. It's another episode. But yeah. notices the state of a woman's being, takes care to encourage it, and if necessary, gives comfort as well. I'm not certain how many friends one needs, but definitely one or two who think your gift, whatever it may be, is pan de cielo, the bread of heaven. Every woman is entitled to an hallelujah chorus. That hit because it's like sometimes we feel like we asking for too much, or sometimes we feel like, damn, like I'm dope. Why nobody else is feeling like, I'm dope or whatever? It's like, oh, look at this one. She wants attention. Nah, it's not that. I love hyping people up. We were just talking about this. I love when New York, when I would walk down the street and stuff, and I saw somebody stand like, boo, I see you. Like, throwing out a compliment real quick. Like, have a good day. Yo, your shirt, bomb. Your hair, bomb. It does nothing. It costs nothing. So it's like having that warmth and that honesty and that authenticity and that love. I had to learn that too, because when I first started, I was that hyper independent thing. Because I poured so much in myself, I had to heal and know that there was nothing wrong. They say it's not who you love, it's not how you love, it's who you love. So I had to learn, like, yo, there was nothing wrong. You continue to be giving. You continue to run your best friend a bath when you know she has you continue to be thoughtful. You continue to be that nurture. I'm a Cancer rising, nurturing others. Yo, a high. I don't do it for nothing in return. I don't do it. I do it because it is in my nature, but I stopped because of my past experiences. So now I'm just learning, like, yo, needing that and having that is so important for everybody. We were meant to have community. We weren't meant to do this shit alone. Yeah, you gotta learn some things on your own, but ultimately, you're not meant to do this shit alone. You're meant to be surrounded by love, amor, not just romantic, but platonic as well. Platonic relationships are just as important as our romantic, because when you have problems with the romantic, who do you go to? Your platonic, like, ooh, girl, got me tight today. Like, and if you cut them all off, who you gonna talk to? Yeah, you got spirit, but there's nothing like sitting around with the people you're closest with and just having, just chopping it up real quick. So yeah, that's what I had to say. There's more, but on to you, boo.
Yeah, so everything that you said was spot on, because in these relationships, we tend to absorb a lot, and we are in these people's frequency, they're in our frequency. So it's a transference of energy that's happening constantly. You share space with someone, you share energy with someone, they're in your field forever until I don't know, like, because there's a lot of people who I still think about from childhood, from my 20s, and what I'm doing, I'm sending them love. We may have parted ways, but if I'm thinking about you, I'm sending you love, I'm sending you healing. And if you come up in my frequency, it probably means you're thinking about me too. So it's all love, it's all good. And I've made peace with those relationships that have ended and have dissolved, and it is what it is. I send them love because it was love while we were in the situation. And however we may have parted ways, that's okay too. So there's a transference of energy. They're in your space forever, and one thing that tends to happen when we're in these relationships, whether they're platonic or not, is a projection. We're constantly projecting. So we're projecting our own limitations, we're projecting our we know this from our family relationship. So whatever doubt, whatever fear that the collective feels, they want you to be on that frequency as well. They want you to feel that. And I can speak on this because in my own family, you know, so the collective consciousness in the family is strong, because how one person feels is like we're all supposed to feel that way, you know, and it can become very toxic because it can limit us, you know. If I feel in my spirit that I'm bigger and greater, or, you know, I need to do things this way and that way, I need to explore, I need to travel, I need to do this, I need to, you know, I need to do something big and grand. But it's like, yo, okay, we're all small, we have all not expanded our gifts or ventured out, or, you know, have different experiences to speak on, so we're all meant to stay there. That's the collective that I grew up in. And as I became conscious of this, I was saying to myself, you know what? That ain't it for me. That is not it for me. And it was an inward battle because I had to fight that. I became resentful towards, you know, family. Became so resentful because there were limitations that were placed on me that were not my own. There were fears that were placed on me that I had to break through, and it was a lot of work. You know, when we say that relationships are a lot of work, it shouldn't be that hard. I shouldn't have to fight with you for you to hear me, for you to love me the way that I need to be loved, for you to see me. I shouldn't have to fight with you for that. It's going to be a lot of work because, one, we constantly have to work on ourselves so that we can bring our full self. I was going to say best self, but I'm moving away from that as well. You want to bring your full self, your healed self to the situation, and not make, you know, you want to be conscious that you're not bringing your limitations and your fears and your doubts. You know what I'm saying? Like, I grew up in an environment where it's like, you know, if I wanted to do something different, it's like, well, you need money to do that. Well, obviously, like, but why is that the thing that you're focused on? You know what I'm saying? So like, it'll come. So like, if I'm thinking differently, if I'm thinking out of the box and you're in the box, then it's going to cause conflict. It's going to cause resentment. It's going to cause so many things that's going to, have you to look closer at that relationship, you know, and you're going to have to conform or remove yourself, you know, and that's where the work comes in, because it shouldn't be a lot of work. Like you said earlier, if you're in a solid, healthy relationship and the person understands that you need to take time off, away from social media, away from them, even away from everybody, to kind of go back within yourself and do whatever you need to do for yourself, and that person's understanding, we all need to have that in order to build that tribe, that we're all looking for, the tribe that our heart yearns for and desires for. We need to understand what these people need in their lives, and either we can bring it to them, we can, you know, or we know somebody who can, you know, offer it to them, or if they know how to do it themselves, we give them the space with it so that they can do that themselves or whatever. So we're going to show up authentically, we're going to show up as our full selves, as we are expecting others to do so, because in that transference of energy, it's either we're going to take whatever it is that makes them, like you said, toxic, but we're moving away from these type of words. We're going to take that in, or we're going to take in those good qualities. So there's choices to be made. What do we want to take in? Because from the time somebody enters your space, there's a transference of energy, period. Whether they're in business, friendship, whatever, there's a transference of energy. They're in your field. So if you are showing up with all of these layers that you're refusing to look at, guess what? That person is going to be your mirror. They're going to show you those things that you don't want to look at. And simultaneously, you're going to see the things that you have been neglecting to see about yourself. So the projection of your own limitations, your own fears, you want to be mindful not to bring that into a situation while a person doesn't see that for themselves. Don't force that into their field, into their consciousness, because that's how you feel. And that has been a constant fight for me, having to break through that, because in doing so, I was able to end certain cycles and or come to terms with certain traumatic events where I had to say to myself, you know what? I don't want to relive this story anymore. This is not my story. It is over. It is done. It is cut, clear, and delete. It is done. So this is where we are, and many times what can happen in these relationships is that we can lose ourselves. We lose our identity. We don't know who we are. And it's because of that transference of energy. You're taking in another person's quality and traits. Christine, I started saying things that you say now. You know what I'm saying? So this is as simple as it looks. This is what it looks like. I'm gonna start saying, the different words that you say, the different mannerisms, and I'm gonna start acting like, are you doing the same thing as me? So that's what it is. That's what it is. So imagine the depths and the levels of and quality of things that we're taking in from other people. So, and yeah. So I want to talk on sexual energy though, in regards to that, because, oh my God. So now you're in a romantic relationship. You're taking in this person's energy, period. I don't care what you believe. This is what it is. We just said it. Any relationship that you enter, it's a transference of energy, regardless of the relationship. So now you're with the person. You're feeling all the tingles, you're feeling juicy inside. So you're like, yeah, this is it. Like, this feels good. I'm going in this direction, right? We've all been in it. But when we get in it, now we're starting to see all the layers unfold. Now that we've made this connection, the layers are beginning to unfold. And if you're not solid within yourself, this energy can be very self-destructive. This sexual energy can be very self-destructive. I'll share my own experience. Not too much, because not too much. But I remember a particular time where I felt all the tingles and I was like, yeah, this is it. That was back then when I didn't have any boundaries. I wasn't quite clear of the difference between sexual energy and creative energy. And I had to have that experience so that I could know it now. This is something that we need to be conscious of, that sexual energy and creative energy, it's the same thing. Not everybody that you're feeling tingly for, you're meant to sleep with or be with in that manner. Or maybe you're meant to create something with them. Maybe you're meant to do a project or start a business or speak with them and gain some knowledge in some type of way, but that's the same energy. So you're going to feel the tingliness. You're going to feel it. It's going to feel so good in your heart. You're going to feel it in your sacral chakra, because that's creative energy. You're going to feel it in your root chakra, because they're here to give you some sort of tools that you need to kind of add to your foundation or your core, your, however, your building blocks that makes you. That's creative energy. You're going to feel it inside of you. It's going to feel tingly. It's going to feel orgasmic, because that's what that energy on the planet, in the universe, is what makes everything as it is. Creative energy, creation energy. So now you're not aware of the difference between the two. You're not aware that it's the same. So you enter in a situation where you mistaken one for the other. Now you all messed up. Now you got to spend time healing, and now it's going to take away from, what you could have been doing and whatnot. But guess what? It's not a bad thing. It's just a redirection. It's just there for you to see, or like we said earlier, take that magnifying glass and look closely at the relationship with yourself, right? Because everybody that we meet, every relationship that we have, is always going to be a reflection of us.
You have to be discerning. You have to know the role that a person is supposed to play in your life. That goes back again to taking time out and getting to know you, getting to know the voice of your higher self, getting to know the voice of your shadow and your ego, getting to know when something is your intuition and not your trauma. That's a big one. That right there plays a big role in our relationships. I, for one, I can say straight cheese, I'm a very sexual being. I love that. I am a creative. I consider myself an artist. So, yeah, I love it. I love it. But I had to learn, first of all, anybody you sleep with, whatever they got, guess who got it now? You do. We all absorb energy, but some of us are more sensitive, more open, whatever you want to call it, than others. Um, Everybody is not supposed to touch you. Not supposed to touch your hair. That's why I say cover your crown. Not supposed to touch you, period. Because, like you said, energy transference is real. Like people, sometimes I've done like this to people because they don't understand. You touching me, and I get a whole, like, not only in my body, but a whole, like, when Raven, That's So Raven, where she used to stop and a whole vision would come. That's kind of what the feeling, I feel it. And then things come to me like, again, not saying you're bad, but I am sensitive. Like, somebody could just brush by me in the street, and if that person was in a bad mood, all of a sudden I find myself like, I'm in a bad mood too. Anyway, not to get off topic, but energy transference through sexual energy, through activity, even kissing, you are exchanging energies. And if this person, let's say you feeling them, whatever, but you don't know what they do in their everyday life when you're not around, that shit comes back to, they even say when whoever they slept with, you slept with them now too, spiritually, because unless you cleanse it or unless you know how to do certain things, all of that is still within you. So it's like, when you find yourself, like you said, you start saying things that I say, and I started saying, all right, so boom. Like, I started saying things that you say too, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that is so dope. There's people that I hang out with now in Florida that I call myself saying certain things that they say too, and vice versa. To me, I think is one of the greatest with friends, like, oh, you sound like me. And, but anyway, so it's like, that's just another confirmation of the energy transference and how connected, first of all, we're already all connected. But when we physically make that connection, like in real life, we're connected in the ethers. When we bring that connection down to the 3D, it is strong. So when you're wondering why you're thinking about this, and that, and this person at 3:00 in the morning, is because they're in your energy. When you start doing things that you don't really do, that are not of you, but you slept with somebody who does things that, again, personal story. I have a few. Let's pick one. I was with somebody, okay. One of my relationships, I had done a couple of things that I grew out of certain things, and I don't want to say heal, because we're always healing. There's always work to be done, but I had grew past certain things that they were currently still dealing with. And I told them one time, I was like, babe, you need to understand, like, please don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to be an a-hole. I'm not trying to be harsh, like the way this is going to come out. But me sleeping with you, if you're doing this A, B, and C, and if you're allowing yourself to stay in this type of energy, me sleeping with you is going to pass to me. And I've worked my ass off. I've done so much to make sure that I don't come in contact with this certain thing again. So forgive me if I'm being a little bit overprotective. Again, I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to come off crazy to you, but I need to look out for me, because when I sleep with you, whatever you got with you, it's going to transfer to me. And it's going to make manifest in my daily life, and it's going to make manifest in my aura. And lo and behold, what did it did that. It did. And it just clearly, again, I'm single, so that relationship didn't work out anymore. But I noticed certain things that I wasn't trying to do anymore, certain places that I brought myself out in. I found myself going back to those places because of okay, I'm not trying to play the blame game. I'm not trying to say, oh, because of her. Nah, first of all, I made the decision. That was all me. Take accountability for that. And second of all, she was just working through some things that she was working through at the time. Baby girl needed to heal. And me, I'm not going to front again, this thing that I have, like, oh, my love is not going to heal her, but maybe it'll help. But they gotta be willing to do the work. I'm gonna read a quote real quick. It's from Bell Hooks in the book. It says, to return to love, to get the love we always wanted but never had, to have the love we want but are not prepared to give, we seek romantic relationships and friendships. People seek out girlfriends and community to avoid being alone too. We seek romantic relationships. We believe these relationships, more than any other, will rescue and redeem us. True love does not have the power to redeem. True love does have the power to redeem, but only if we are ready for redemption. Love saves us only if we want to be saved. I said that, just to correlate to the story in which I'm talking about, but a lot of people resort to sexual energy because they feel like that's going to be it and that's going to keep that person around. I used to do that, not knowing that I was taking in so much energy that wasn't my own. And I probably messed up some really good friendships that I could have had because I was so quick to get down and dirty. So like that sexual energy, like you really got to sit, ooh, my sacral just got hot, girl. So really sitting down and really being like, yo, I'm feeling this, but what is this? Is it meant to be romantic? That's like you said in the beginning, not rushing, not being so quick to get so hot, not being so quick to assume what something is, because it really, you gotta decipher what lens you're seeing that from. So that sexual energy is a big one. I can personally say I probably, like, if we would have just took our time and developed that foundation of friendship, our relationship, getting romantic probably could have been the greatest thing of all, or I could have probably still had some really good friendship in my life, because a lot of what hurt me the most with my romantic relationships ending, especially because I date women, is losing one of the best friends I've ever had. That right there stings. And I'm like, damn, maybe we should have just been friends. Maybe we could have created so much together. But because, you be feeling a way and you read this, you come here. It's like you sit there and you, it can ruin a lot of good things, as quick and as hot and as fast as it started is as hot and as fast that it could come crumbling down. And that goes with the relationships, your energy, everything, the work that you've been doing. It can really cause some moments.
While you were sharing your story about your relationship, I want to say this, that, it's not all lost. Where I find there's conflict is that if you ended the relationship based off of whatever the issue was, right? And you take some time apart, you heal, they have their own, explorations and whatnot, and then you come back again, you reconnect or whatever, but that person still addresses you as if you're in the same space. That's where the conflict can stem, because another story of mine, not naming any names or being too specific about the situation, but I was in a long-term relationship, and you know, this person and I had our ups and downs. We went on that roller coaster ride, so many experiences within that time frame. And this person, you know, and I've done a lot of healing. I've done a lot of work on myself. I've evolved. I've literally evolved that when I think of the past, not that it was good or bad, or I'm not putting any type of label, is that I don't live there anymore. I don't exist there in the past anymore. So when this person tries to come with the old jokes and old things like, oh, hey, remember when? Like, nah, like, nah. You know, like, I'm sending you love, but no, like, I am not there anymore. And the person just tried to do that recently. And, you know, they always say Mercury retrograde, these exes come back like, hey, how you doing? Like, what? But no, the person came with an old joke that we used to do. And I'm like, and I didn't remember for a while. And it took me a little while to remember, like, oh, that's what they were trying to do. And then another person, another friendship, a friendship that I had where the person came, I have a nickname in my family, which I will not share on here. You really gotta know me to know that nickname. So this person came and was like, hey, nickname. And I'm like, yo, I haven't spoken to you since 2013. Like, how dare you think you could come back into my space and be like, hey, you know, da-da-da, you know, da-da. No, like, you know, so when it's not lost, like, you can come back to these friends, you can, it's a choice that you can make. But yes, the two parties have to be willing, and the two parties have to understand that we've evolved, you know? And if you haven't evolved, well, then there's not much to say there. I can't be in the same past space that we were in. I can't be there because I no longer exist there. You know what I'm saying? So that can cause a little bit of conflict in the relationships. So, and like you, like, these were my best friends, you know, these are long-term relationships. And of course it was sad. And I'm working through a relationship that I have to maintain right now in my present life. And I do want to rebuild with this person in a different way, in a different capacity. But the other party has to be willing. The other party has to do their own work. The other party has to know that I've evolved and I'm not the same person that, you know, that you knew back then when whatever the issue was, you know, the issue happened. So, but both parties have to be willing. And of course, we're not going to force relationships either, you know? But yeah, but you think about these people all the time because, you know, like we said, it's all love. It's all love, whatever the issue was, however it turned out, whether it was ugly or whatnot, it's all love, you know? And this is what it is. We can't look at things as bad or good anymore. It just is what it was. And then we learned our lessons, we grew. And if you're not doing that, well, you need some more time. You know, you just need some more time. And going back to what we were talking about like creatives and having that solid support system, you know, it can really tear us apart. You know, those of us who are creatives and live based off our artwork and service work and things like that, it can really tear us apart when we don't have that support system. It's just a matter of understanding. We're not asking for money. We're not asking for anything, you know, that you're capable of. It's just, yo, I see you. Congratulations. That's great. That's amazing that you feel happy about that. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't take much, and the conflict comes when you start interjecting with your own perceptions of what success is. And I've had that. I've had to face that with, you know, relationships in my own family. Coming in with your interpretation of what success is, that's great, but that's not what I'm seeing for myself. So you projecting this on me is not for me. So you will meet me with a conflict. You know what I'm saying? So there will be a conflict because what you're saying there doesn't resonate with me. So, and this is what it is. And when people say that, it is to keep you in a particular frequency. It is to keep you in a particular light because you're not going to move past than how they see you. You're not going to move past that. And sometimes people want to keep you there. So when you have people in your space, in your tribe, that can't see your joy or can't see, you know, what it is that you're doing, and can't see the good, and are not supporting you in the way that you need, then you have to re-examine these relationships. You have to, I'll give another story. You know, I would share a particular goal that I had accomplished in my life with certain people, and they would just change the subject, or they would come in with their own goal, good news, or whatever the case is, not even acknowledging little things like that can. And also too, not like those of the people that, you know, that you call friends, or, you know, those people that you're in relationships with, their silence too. Their silence is very loud about, you know, not that we're expecting folks to bend over backwards or to congratulate us all the time. Maybe they're silently, like you said this earlier too, before we started recording, was that just because we're not jumping for joy all the time, that doesn't mean we're not praying for you. That doesn't mean we're not sending you love. That doesn't mean that we're, because, you know, a lot of us move differently. We think differently. Like, you know, for me, I had a client that come in the other day. She gave me her brochure for her business that she just started. I said, you know what? I'm going to continue. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to send some healing energy or whatever. I don't know what that's supposed to look like for others, but for me, when I do that for you, all I have to do is say it, and it's happening. It's already generating, like it's subconsciously, it's already working to send you that good energy. So I don't have to do much to give you that support. And guess what? It is felt, because there's a lot of people out there who know the genuineness of opening yourself up to just listen and see a person and then encourage them to continue, because that's support right there. I don't have to give you money. I may not have the money to give you, but you know what? I can give you encouraging words, and that's what support looks like. So that support system, building a support system so that you can thrive, is what it is that we're talking about. And that support system is going to be based on the relationships that you have, one, with yourself, two, with family. We're forgetting about that one, because so many of us have cut ties with family members because of these misunderstandings, because of the limitations and the lack of support, right? But we're not knowing that support can come in many forms, or there's so many different layers, there's so many different reasons why we've cut people off. But having that support system will allow you to thrive in whatever endeavors you decide to do. It's going to assist you in fulfilling your life's purpose. It's going to help you be the best person, the best mom, the best father, whatever it is that you need to do in your life. That support system is key, because with people, with the relationships that we cultivate, if they're filling you up with that good energy, or that, yo, you messing up right here, that constructive criticism that we can take so that we can build and become better, that's what's going to make us better. We need that. You know, there's been a program that we have been, that has been given to us, where it's like, we don't need this, we don't need that person, we don't need a man, we don't need this, we don't need. No, we do. And we have to come to terms with that, because relationships are the foundation of who we are, what humanity has to offer. So we need relationships, we need support, we need friendship, we need tribe, we need family, because this is, as we are all reflections of each other, this is how we're going to thrive.
Yeah, beautifully said. Everything you said was spot on, especially the point where you just said it, having people around us that lovingly, I'm going to say it again, lovingly hold us accountable. And because you could tell, I appreciate when the people around me tell me about myself, but watch how you do it. Don't come to me with ego. Don't come to me with judgment. Don't come to me with, like you said earlier, with a projection. Because 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, I'm aware of certain things and I'm working on it. But sometimes I'm not. You will be blinded to certain things so that you can learn. And that's why we have these people in our lives to make us privy to the things we can't see. There's that quote that says, if I love you, I'm going to make you conscious to the things you're not seeing. So it's like, if I don't know about it, I can't fix it. I'm here to say right now, I don't do anything on purpose to make anyone feel a way. If I've ever hurt or made somebody feel a way, my bad. Like, I really don't. I could be aloof or whatever it is, but that loving accountability. Like, you did it to me a couple of days ago. You was like, listen, I do things this way. Don't say this to me. I don't resonate with that. Just help me out and do it. Just do it. And I was like, you know what? She's right. Because I'm used to doing things on my own. I'm not used to working, and it being a healthy relationship. So, not to be too long-winded, I just wanted to touch on that healthy accountability and having that authenticity where you feel safe enough to do that, where you can let down your hair and breathe easy in this relationships, where you don't feel like you gotta hide anything. That is so important. If I feel like I can't be 100% with you, I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna be cordial. But as far as me being intimate, and no, intimate is not only with romantic. Into me, you see intimacy. I'm not gonna let you see into me as a friend, as a whatever friend, family, if I don't feel safe. You'll get pieces of me if spirit leads me to be there for you in some way, bet. But seeing me as a whole, I'm sorry, I don't feel safe. So this topic can go on for days, but before, maybe we'll make a part 2 to this because there's so many things that we could touch on. But before we close out, I just wanted to share something like when it comes to relationships, the people in our lives, it's sometimes the universe will send us people that they probably in our lives for just a second or just a moment to teach us something or to show us something that's needed for us to continue forward and for us to really get an idea of what love is. I read something, it was in one of these books. I'm always reading a lot of books, so I get the information, I forget where it comes from. Oh, All About Love. She talks about how some of us don't even know what love is. We didn't grow up in a household where healthy relationships and love was present. But if you think back, there was always like one or two people throughout our lives that are called she calls it the enlightened being. And to give an example to know what that is, like Matilda, she grew up, I was watching the musical the other day. She grew up in a household where her parents weren't shit. Her brother wasn't shit. Her mom, her dad, they did not love her. But the universe sends us these angels, these enlightened beings in our lives to represent what it is we deserve and what it is love really looks like. And for Matilda, that was Miss Honey. Miss Honey saw right off the bat that, this right here, this is a special girl, and I'm going to do whatever I can, despite the mistrunchables, despite the unhealthy, relationship, that the unhealthy environment that this girl is in, I'm going to be that light. And what happened? Miss Honey ended up adopting her, and they lived happily ever after in the cottage. I say all that to say, like, relationships in our life, they look different. They come in different forms, and really like cultivating the relationship with you and not really trying not to judge so much your situation and letting it consume you and letting it misconstrue who you know yourself to be, because there's always going to be some type of light or some type of example around you. You just got to be open and willing to see it and to receive it. So yeah, relationships. This was a good discussion. Thank you, Vanessa, for sharing everything you shared. Thank you for supporting me and wanting to like jump this topic up the list, and you know, yeah, for being here and for seeing me and how important it was to have this part of this talk, this chit chat. Thank you for being transparent too. That's a biggie.
Yeah. Thank you so much for
Always.
just being you. And I want to thank everyone for listening and for joining us today. And we will see you next week.
See you later.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Quantum Talks, Healing Through Conversations. Remember to tune in next week for episode 5, where we dive deep into shadow work and the dark night of the soul. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Next, we have our collective message with Chris.
Hey guys, welcome to our tarot. Well, today I'm switching it up a bit. I am doing an oracle reading instead. But welcome to this portion of today's episode. I am using the wisdom. It's using Crystal Wisdom Healing Oracle. I personally love this deck. It is by Judy Hall, in case anybody wants to go out and get it. But yeah, without further ado, let's get to it. All right. Father, Mother, God, Prime Source, our Ascended Masters, our angels. Like I like to say, I welcome in the entire spiritual squadron to come meet me here and use me as a vessel to relay a message for all those who are hearing, who are listening, who need it. May this message transcend space and time, and may it reach everyone and anyone who needs to hear it. All right, so yeah, let's get to it. Just gonna shuffle a bit more here, and we will get to the card. Nope, here we go. I haven't used this deck in a while. All right. I'm gonna break it 3 times. All right, let's get to it. All right. Ascended Masters, Angels, Source. Please come in, give me a card that's needed, a card, a message for this time. Thank you. Oh, here we go. Yo. They never fail. All right, here we go. Oh man, they got me pronouncing hard words here. All right. The card that came out was card 38, which is Brandenburg Amethyst. Brandenburg Amethyst. And this is exciting because I've never pulled this card before. So we are all learning something new today. And it's crazy because I have my amethyst right here. It always correlates. The messages are usually in the book. So I'm going to read from the book, and then if there's anything additional, I will add on to it. Don't judge me. All right, here we are. Card number 38. All right. Brandenburg Amethyst, the perfect blueprint. A master healer, the Brandenburg Amethyst holds the perfect blueprint of your soul and all that is. It helps physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, karmic, planetary, and ancestral auric layers and imprints, the most perfect energetic pattern possible. It basically puts you right. This basically clears everything, not only your physical body, but your etheric body, your ancestral, your karmic. It clears you from head to toe, literally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. The self-understanding. You are a being of pure consciousness and a wonderful and you are wonderful just the way you are. Embrace the clarity of your core being. Let go of mental constructs, karmic imprints, soul imperatives, and relationships that no longer serve. Heal the past. Reframe previous choices. Reframe previous choices that you have made in your life and take a new pathway to step into your soul purpose and expand higher dimensions of your soul. You are perfect exactly as you are in this present moment. Step onto your soul path and seed your future with potential. Self discipline and clear focus will bring your dreams to fruition. Aim for the highest. The healing insight is you are perfect exactly the way you are. So, okay, this card is basically asking ourselves to see perfection in every moment, to stay present and to really allow ourselves to see us the way that we are meant to be seen. Um, it does say to let go of relationships that no longer serve you. So that does tie back into the episode where if you are surrounded by people, whether that be in a job, your home, your school, whatever it is, whatever you do, if you're surrounded by people who do not see you or who do not feel you or who make you feel any less than what you are, let that go. Let that go and look to surround yourself with those who see you. Now, the more that you work on yourself and the more that you see yourself, you become a magnet to others who see you in the same. Always remember that there's a difference between loving advice, loving criticism, loving accountability, and then there's the other side of the spectrum where it's ego based, where it comes from judgment, where it comes from jealousy, where it comes from, like we said earlier, projection. Really take time to heal yourself and to go within so you can know the difference between the two. And so you can also learn how to cultivate these supporting relationships that will help you ascend to your highest and your greatest self. So, yes, the card of the day was card 38. Brandon Hurst Amethyst. If you guys want to look this up, I always recommend if you feel called to purchase it or what have you. I think if you look it up, you'll be able to find it. If you get amethyst by itself, it doesn't necessarily have to be Brandenburg amethyst. I feel led to tell you any amethyst will help you because amethyst helps you break toxic patterns or patterns that don't serve you. I, for one, can attest to that. I swear amethyst helped me stop smoking cigarettes. So, yes, that is the message for today. And again, thank you for joining us. And I hope it reached you right when it was needed. See you.